afternoon, brothers and sisters, and welcome once again to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm your weekly host, Brother James Muhammad, and I'm honored to have back on the show my friend and my brother from Young Man's University.
Yes,
brother.
Sir. Honored to be here, brother. Honored to be here. Thank you for having us.
Yes, sir. Glad to have you, brother. It's been a while.
Yes, sir.
A lot of things have happened in Memphis since the last time you've been on the show. I know you have been out there working hard in the trenches, particularly with young black males at Young Man University. But for those who are not quite familiar with you, my brother, tell us something about Young Man's University and what was the inspiration behind Young Man's University?
Okay, well, Young Man University is an educational system. We are three-component based: academics, entrepreneurship, and the spirituality, God in the center of what we do for our sons. And our objective is to empower them. You know, I'm not a program, I'm a system. You know, systems are sustainable. Programs come and go with every political regime. You got a new program. But in order to find, or at least where I found success with our son, is just simply stay in the course, not to deviate from the structure that God has given us. So it empowers our son because we build relationships. The strongest alumni, the strongest organization have the strongest alumni. So with the sons that we meet, we're trying to be forever with them. I'm not trying to see you for a few years or a few months and then that's the end of our relationship. Well, that's about consistency. And the most consistent person I've ever met was my mother. She was consistent with me. She consistently loved me through my darkness. I never felt that she didn't love me. And that's what she gave me to give to the young men that we encounter. And I tell them all the time, you can't make me not love you. If that's your attempt, you already lost. I'm in this. I mean, I'm gonna be with you when you're cutting up and acting up bad. Because I recall when my mother was with me when I was cutting up, acting up bad. So I stayed the course and I'm gonna remain unrattled. Our goal again is academics first, is to dig deep inside of our sons based on their vision. Everybody at YMU has a vision. Son, what's your vision? Then write your vision and make it plain. So the others, the elders, as we say, can run with it, can take it, can find resources for you to fulfill your vision. And I think unless we tap in closely to the vision of our sons, it's hard to really understand why and what they're doing. But I'm always recalling them to their vision. What's your vision? So for me, my tragedy was prison, the death of my daughter, gang affiliation, all the things that I involved myself in. Didn't necessarily have to, but I chose to. And it resulted in 11 years in prison and the death of my 6-year-old daughter. That's what empowers Young Man University, that I don't want other parents to know the hurt that I feel because there's no closure. That's a lie. I'm in 31 years coming up, and it may as well have been like yesterday. Because there's no closure for me. So the other component of Young Man University, of course, is family, the extended family. I don't enroll young men, I enroll their entire family. I'm microscopically close to the boys, so I can see when there's something wrong. You know, all day I'm saying, what's wrong? None, doc. What's wrong? Nothing, doc. It's about middle morning to see what had happened, because I knew it was something there. But if I didn't have a spirit of microscopicness to look closely at what's going on with him, predicated on my relationship with him, then I could find out what I need to do. It may be nothing I need to do other than ask what was wrong, and he told me. So in the conversation, we found some source of healing and perhaps a new direction. But I stay that close to them. I don't have walls with the young men at Young Man University. You can come to my house. You can come where I am. Oh, parents are late. Well, you're going to have to go with me. Let's go. We'll figure out what we need to do later. But I don't want to be so busy that I can't be available to our sons. So that's what Young Man University is about. It's about just staying the course. You know, I don't get the government money. I don't get that kind of support, and I don't worry about it. You know, I tell God every morning, man, if I'm crushed under the weight of this enormous vision you've given to someone like me, then so be it. I've been fooled for lesser things, James. So I'll take this beating for the kingdom. So that's what Young Man University is about, and that's what we're teaching our sons as well.
Okay, beautiful. Brothers and sisters, we're just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show. I'm honored to have on the show once again my brother and my friend in the mission of saving our people, particularly our young black men.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Jeffery Futrell.
Yes, sir.
From Young Man's University. You said something very interesting, brother. You said you just don't enroll the students, but you also enroll the parents.
Absolutely.
What came to mind was what I heard on the news the other day. They're trying to pass a Senate here in the state of Tennessee is trying to pass a law to punish the parents for the action of their children. How do you feel about that?
I just think that is perhaps the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. And again, I have to internalize that with my mother. My mother was a righteous woman, James, a believing woman. You couldn't punish her for the decisions that I made. You know, there's no justice in that. But what I say, and then we're in a new generation of parents, it's about holding parents accountable. Yes, we need to do that, but I think that is another means and a tactic of our enemies to destroy the black family. That's just my thought on it. You know, because okay, you take the brother out the house, the man. You create laws that lock our children up. Now you hold parents accountable for the actions of the children. The root cause of these behaviors go deeper than just this generation. I think they're derivative effects of American chattel slavery. And that's what we're seeing. So I just think that's ridiculous.
Okay, now that you brought that up, I was headed down that path because what we're seeing in Memphis, and we know there's a parenting issue, there's a juvenile delinquent issue, the crime rate among juveniles is rising. But this didn't happen, this social illness didn't happen out of a vacuum. I was thinking about the words of Dr. or Representative Henry Berry from Virginia House of Delegates in 1832. Listen to this now, and I want your opinion on this. He stated before the House of Representatives, "We have as far as possible closed every avenue by which the light may enter the slave's mind. If we could extinguish the capacity to see the light, comma." Now you have to stop and think about that one. "Our work will be complete." Our work. Now this is coming from the House of Representatives
Lawmaker.
in Virginia in 1932. "They will then be on the level of the beasts of the field, and then we should, be safe." When we look at the condition of our youth in Memphis and some of the crimes are being committed, last year this time, we was at 71 murders. 2024, we at 79. We headed to break the record.
Yes, sir.
But this problem that we see is didn't just
No, it didn't.
happen out of some vacuum. Is there a direct relationship to the parenting issue, the missing father in the home, to this statement in 460 some years of slavery here in America?
Well, I recant Victor Hugo. If crimes are committed, crimes are being committed, who do you blame? The one who created the darkness? You got to blame the one who created the darkness. At least he can't escape total culpability for it. Yeah, they're committing these things are happening, there's accountability that we have to have. But who created this darkness? And I'm not saying, well, we got to stop saying that about, no, we don't. When do we stop saying what's true? Crimes will be committed when there's a darkness created. That's a darkness created. And now it puts the people in an autopilot situation to do nothing and allow them to maintain dominance over the people. So this culture, as I call it, negative culture syndrome, has been developed and created and designed. And our children walk around hopeless. And through that hopelessness, they carry out these behaviors. So comes the economic imbalance, much like a chemical imbalance, it creates negative behavior. So we're in a city nearly 70% black, but we control virtually none of the economic. What do you think the children are going to do? Their souls are on empty and they're searching for something. And since we have not given them anything, they are creating their own meaning. Most of the crimes that you see created by or committed by our youth are related to money. So the solution in some part, a great part, I would dare say, has to be driven by economics.
Okay. So it's safe to say that poverty and injustice create savagery.
It does. It does, just like domestication for a savage culture, domestication always proved a damaging factor for them because it took away their warlike spirit. But this is what we're seeing. Their souls are just out there. We hadn't shown them anything. You know, it's okay. Jobs are important and vital to us. But if you don't have a vision for the children, then you never seek to build anything because we're afraid of the struggle. Man, there's a real struggle with Young Man University. It's a real struggle, but I have an objective. It's that I can hand this to my predecessor, the person that God said hand this to them. But if it's a job, I just can't hand it to them because it's not mine. So ownership creates, through entrepreneurship, creates ownership and develops a culture of good citizenship. People are born, but citizenship is developed. We hadn't developed the citizenship in our children. We hadn't shown them why they shouldn't tear the city up, why they shouldn't put a gun in somebody's face. Why? Explain that to me. Well, until we do, we're going to keep having these situations. I said this year before last, crime is going to continue. It's going to get worse until we confront it. And until we, and when I say confront, you have to go where it is to confront. You can't fight a war over here and the war is over there. You got to go over there where the war is. So we have to ride out. There are enough men in this city of us to ride out among our sons and say, son, we can't let you do that. And we can do this peacefully if you want, or we can have conflict. We don't want conflict. You're our son. Then you got to show me what to do. You can't take it away from him, James, and then give him nothing. You can't take what he's doing away from him as a means of his survival and give him nothing that's equally viable. You can't give him less. And that takes a great deal of sacrifice. And I think that's, for me, I thank God for putting my mindset and heart in a place where you got to sacrifice. Stuff you used to have, really, you can't have anymore because I have you in a position of servitude. So you got to serve the people. You got to serve the young men you work for. You got to. I had a sandwich today, a young guy. I knew he was hungry. I didn't even ask him. I split it with him. I didn't say you want something because I knew he was hungry. Then that comes from being microscopically close to him. He don't want to ask. You ain't got to ask. I know you're hungry. That's the position of an elder and a young man, and that's just what's not happening.
Beautiful, beautiful. Brothers and sisters, if you're just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show, I'm here with my brother, Dr. Jeffery Dr. Jeffery Futrell. He's the founder of Young Man University. And, you know, I came by your office, and, you know, I have to spill the beans.
Yes, sir.
I believe you're influenced a lot by the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
I do.
I saw many other authors in your office, and you don't limit the young black men.
I don't.
What part did the teaching of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his representative, the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, play in your life?
You know, I've had the opportunity, people will say, you know, Minister Farrakhan, he seems so angry. Man, if I had been telling you what to do for 60 years, I'd be mad too. I've been giving you the game plan for 60 years, and you won't follow it. The discipline of building for self. It eliminates the ideology of religion. It's just building for self and learning a compassion for your people. So two of the things was so synonymous with what my mother used to teach me. She used to say, if you don't love black people, you can't help them.
That's right.
Because they're going to break you down, wear you down. So you got to stay the course. So that was one thing that's critical, and that's critical when I'm dealing with the brothers in the prison, as we work in the prison and the jail. You can't run me away. You know, when it's snowing outside, ain't nobody coming. I pride myself on getting there. Because I know the men, they may not say it, but when I got there on their faces, I could see, man, they were glad, man, you came in and I did. So those teachings are vital because they're teachings of discipline. It has nothing to do with your faith. It has something to do with discipline, and we're lacking discipline. You know, and you can't, I don't know any greater teachers. I have a couple of great teachers that I use, biblical teachers. I don't know if you know Pastor Ernest Gillespie. He's just up front, man's teaching. And that's what I get from him. And I glean, but then I'm a student. So I'm always looking for stuff to learn, write down, make notes, go back, implement it as it may help others. So I don't limit myself to, I'm not a religious man. I try to be a follower of God, follower of Christ, the Christ, as it is in that symbol. So I don't get
in
caught
the actions I've seen you also.
Absolutely. So I don't get lost in that because our religion has separated us. You don't mean to tell me that our faith, based on what each says, we can't be brothers because of what you believe and I believe? My faith works for me because as the book tells me, it's for me. This is for me. So I have to follow it. But if it makes me less close to you, then there's something that needs to be reexamined, James, on all ends. If our faith draws us not near to each other, but departs us from each other, something's wrong. We're not reading it right. So how can we read all these righteous books and be so far apart, James?
Yes, you remind me of the words in the Holy Quran. The basis of religion is unity.
Absolutely. It absolutely is. So, and we are missing unity amongst us. But then American chattel slavery, it destroyed our ability it destroyed our desire, not our ability. We got to have a desire to want to work together because we have the ability. We have the academic prowess. We have all the things we need, but we don't have the desire. It's not important because when it's important, you go out of your way to do that. You go out of your way to support a black business because it's important that I do. But unless we gain that understanding so we can pass that down to the next generation, we're going to be saying what they were saying in 1960, jobs and justice. 1980, jobs and justice. 2000, jobs and justice. 2020, jobs and justice. But until we create some jobs, we won't get no justice.
Yeah, so you said something very important. That's why I think the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and his representative, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, is so important because that methodology taught me how to love myself. And see you as a reflection of myself. You know, I go into the prison also, and that's my motivation. It's not worsen, it's not tiring. I love going.
Right, yes, sir.
You know,
Yes, sir.
so I think, and that is what's missing with all the degrees, all the organizations, all the grant program. The motor that puts them together, that makes us want to unite, is the love for each other.
Absolutely.
And that love also brings about the long suffering that we won't give up on our young people out there. And I notice when I come into your office, you know, you're not just a professor, but you're a father,
Yes, sir. Oh,
a teacher,
Yes, sir.
a caretaker. And you know, we've been in the streets searching for young black men
Yes, sir.
that have gotten away. And my brother called me at night, you know, with his patrol. He's out looking for a particular young man. You know, most principals are not going to do that.
No.
You know, so you're setting up a system. So, brother, we thank you for that. Now, you have an event that's coming up soon.
I do.
Tell us something about the event and how can the community benefit from it?
Well, I tell you, I do preventions. And I think preventions are greater than intervention. So, and there's a group of young men who are in the juvenile justice system. And parents, they have to come to a program. It's called Ceasefire. And we do a presentation. In this particular instance, we usually do black coffin, but this one is someone's knocking. Death is knocking. So we have a door set up and you'll hear the loud sounds of knocking. Parents are sitting there by their son. Death is calling you. He's knocking at your door. He's in a tuxedo. He's dressed up, but he's knocking at your door. Once your son wants to tell you your son's been killed. Now we're on the preventive end because your son's sitting here next to you alive. You need to do all you can to prevent that knock, to silence that knock. You need to do all you can. Parents have to reevaluate our love for material things. Because you're working extra, you're doing well, but look at what you're giving up. You're giving up your son, your daughters, because you got to work. Understand that. That's why the family component is so important. So this intervention is about reawakening the urgency of parents parents are the issue. You need to get busy with your son. You need to sit down in this room. You need to search his room. You need to know what is happening with your son and daughter, but especially your son. How did he get that iPad? You didn't buy it. You need to ask questions. I got it from so-and-so. What's so-and-so's mother's name? So I'm trying to wake up the urgency in parents because once it happens and you stand in front of that coffin of your son, there's no coming back from that. There's none.
Listen, parents.
There's no coming back. You're going to live with it every day, all day, 365 days a year, 24/7. And you're going to always be asking yourself the question, what could I have done? Even if you were, quote unquote, an ideal parent, it doesn't really matter. That happens to your son. So we got to stand in the gap for our children. We got to tell them, and I mean speak it to them, that, son, We could have a bigger house, but I need to cut down so I can gain time with you. Perhaps I need to pick you up from school so I can ward off the gangs that's trying to recruit you just because they see me and your father. Maybe your father and I can sit down and become civil with each other, though we're not married, for the sake of you, because we agree on this one commonality: we love you. And I think that's what this is about. Death is knocking. And song says, open up your window pane. I can hear death calling my name. It's calling us. So it's calling for our children. If they get our sons, then what? You know, so that's...
You know, brother, and we can feel like we're safe because two parents in the house, we both have good jobs, and my son is okay. But every day you deliver your sons and your daughter to an environment that is not safe.
That's right.
Called high school,
That's
junior
right.
high, elementary. But there's other children out there who are not secure like your child.
Right. Absolutely.
And that child become an influence on your child. You know, and I think two things that is hurting our household: social media and headphones.
I agree.
Think about that now. Your son and your daughter put the headphones on and they walk around the house all day.
Block out everything else.
You're so tired from working all day. You're not concerned who's feeding your child.
Absolutely.
What rapper is talking to your child, female or male. What Sexy Red is saying to your daughter.
Yes, sir.
You're not concerned with the feed on social media, on FaceTime. It's called a feed.
Yes,
it's
sir.
feeding your child. But when problems occur, all of a sudden you're trying to figure out where is all this coming from.
It's developed. And, you know, parenting is endless. There's no, you retired from parenting. I'm dealing with parents, but mostly mothers, have sons 35, 40 years old, some even older, that are in and out of the system or dealing with, but she's still a parent. She's still parenting him because that is her job. Let him go. How does she let him go? You know, how do you let your child go? So they're still in their parenting, but you can't be so busy that you relinquish your responsibility as a parent.
Man, I just turned 60 the other day,
Yes,
and
sir.
my mother
Look
was
good.
parenting up till she died.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And I would say, okay, Mom, I'm a
wow.
grown man now.
Yeah, right.
She said, I don't care about you being a grown man. I'm still your mama.
Still your mama.
Brothers and sisters, just now tuning in to the Self-Improvement
Yes,
Basis
sir.
for a Community Development Talk Show. I'm sitting here with my brother and my friend in the mission of saving our youth, Dr. Jeffery Futrell of Young Man's University. Brother, what else do Young Man University have coming up in the future?
Well, summertime is about to come, so we farm.
Oh, yes,
So
that's
guys will be
right.
down on the farm.
Now say that again. You're
Farm.
farming. Why is farming so important?
Agriculture. There is no culture without agriculture. You've got to have agriculture. We have to teach our sons how to be self-contained and sustaining. What I always say, what are you going to do when that water runs out? If that toilet doesn't flush? How are we going to survive? We're at the mercy of other people as a collective group. I'm not saying some of us aren't doing, but we're, as a collective, we're at their mercy.
And brother, let me cut you off when you say that. We at the mercy. We drink their water, and every day a new city is coming on the news, and they're finding lead in the water. And we know the effect that lead has on young people
Absolutely.
in brain development and violence.
Yes.
So we compound that with the inner city lead problem with smoking weed.
Yeah.
And we're wondering why things are so violent.
Because we don't have our hand in things that concern us as a collective. And because it doesn't seem to be important. And one of the things, the analysis I always give, we go downtown Memphis. We're enjoying, but we don't own none of the stuff. It bothers me to the point that I'm rarely going to go downtown unless it's business related. But just to go downtown, we own none of it.
And we used to own it all.
And we're not bothered by that. And I'm not bothered. For me, but what about the next generation? If everybody over 40 died right now that's black, what would happen to our children? What position have we left them in? Churches are not inheritable. So your dad's the pastor, my son is not going to inherit any of the assets of the church. Not knocking churches or religious building. But where's the stuff that we build together to sustain the next generation? So for me, it's kind of puzzling. But what I do, people say, well, black folks won't work together. I think that's the biggest lie I ever told. I always ask them, what black people are you working with? I work with black people every day, and we're working together. So that's a lie. So we got to find those groups and start building together.
Okay, back to the farming. I didn't mean to cut you off,
Yes,
but I
sir.
think that's something that we need to hear. You said coming up in the summertime, you're all going to start agriculture.
Yeah, well, we're already lacing the fields because it's almost time to plant. And but I get them heavily involved in agriculture, understanding agriculture, understanding growing cotton, understanding developing for yourself, growing it, watch it grow, eating it, knowing what it is, because being self-contained. We don't have a grocery store. But here's the other side, and that's one we're working on. We don't make announcements at YMU, we make moves, so I don't announce a bunch of stuff. We just
That's
make
what
a
this
move.
show for you to make your announcement.
Yeah, okay, I got you. But we're going to set up a small grocery store. It's just small. I don't care if it's got 2 rows. If we make it immaculate, provide an excellent service and product, then like Kroger's, we could grow too. They didn't start off in no mega store. They started a small market. So we have to do the same thing with our sons and teach them. Then let them earn. Show them what to do with the earning. Because entrepreneurship, you're going to take a beating. I take a beating. So I know you're going to take a beating. But the key is to not quit.
Now, you brought up a grocery store. What came to mind was a few years ago when Kroger's left Orange Mound. I saw people standing out protesting. I saw politicians standing out protesting. And I asked myself, you have a degree. You place yourself in a position to lead the people as a politician, but you don't have enough sense to do for self. You can't make the right connection to a distributor, to fill the shelves, to lease the building or buy the building.
Right.
And we want to beg someone else, don't leave. We should have, if there was Asian people, they'd be like, go. We got their plan. We're going to have it shipped in from China or Japan and fill the shelves ourselves.
Well, it's not that they couldn't. You got to want to. Because if you want to, then you'll get stuff done. And that desire to have done that, and that infuriated me. It was like, wow, you just going to let that go? And then when they brought another chain in, which is not owned by us, then you had a grand opening. Politicians were all out cutting ribbons, but we could have taken that. Even if it wasn't the large scale store like Kroger's was, even if you had to use a small portion of it for now, but you got to want that.
But just think about this, brother. And I'm going to put myself in this because no one man can rise above the condition of his people.
No, yes, sir.
So I don't want to seem like I'm really putting our people and our politicians down. But you have access as a politician.
Right.
We're living in a city, this is the distribution capital of the world. You have the big food storing distribution center right out there off Holmes Road.
Absolutely.
All we had to do was make the right connections. The building is ours, it's in our community. Fill the shelves. And then supply our people. And then hire the young black men and young black women who need a job.
Yeah.
That's why I believe the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is so important to us. Because if you weren't so afraid of the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, we have a farm and we're bringing in food from the staple goods.
Right.
You make that connection.
Yeah.
You get your beans from us. You get your produce from us.
But why do you think we won't do that, brother? I have my opinion about it.
Well, what makes you different and me different from other people is that someone has instilled love in us for our people.
Absolutely.
You don't have to tell love what to do.
No.
Love gonna feed the baby.
No doubt.
Love gonna put the baby on the breast.
Yeah. Well, that's what we're missing.
So love is what caused the Honorable Mr. Farrakhan to buy 1,600 acres of farmland to feed our people. During COVID, he brought in bags of beans to feed the believers, and he gave things away free for the elders. That's love.
Yeah.
Love is to motivate him to buy the trucks, to put on the road to deliver the goods.
Yeah.
He didn't have to do that.
No.
But keeping up with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to do for self, but the religious aspect also brings about the discipline to keep us moving, and the teachings bring about the love for our people that makes us want to work for our people.
Yeah.
So I understand where you're coming from, and to hear that you're taking young black men to the farm.
Absolutely. Because they need to see it. They need to touch the earth. Mother used to tell me, go take your shoes off and your socks and put your feet on the ground.
Do some grounding.
Yeah, you need to. Yeah, get regrounded. You know, you've been running around tennis shoes too long. Put your feet on the ground. Let your feet touch the earth from whence you came. So cultivating our sons is critical. You know, of course, they're city kids. They're not real big on being down on the farm at first. But once they get into it and touching the soil and seeing the produce coming, it's an amazing
Well, you know, brother, either they go with you or they go with someone else. I was at Cummins Prison. I put up to the prison to go in to teach. And here come a tractor pulling 4 wagons with men with hoes and picks.
Absolutely.
And white dungarees on.
Right.
Working the fields for nothing and by force.
By force.
Now, they're learning a skill now. But here you are, you're offering an education, a free education.
Absolutely.
But also taking our brothers to the farm to get them involved to culture, to grow their own food and provide the needs of their people.
Because the whole world is their classroom. I mean, you got to get these young men outside of the boundaries of the traditional 4-wall classroom. And the whole world. Sometimes we go to the cemetery. That's why we're here. Because I want you to come to the end, so you can turn and look back at your beginning, and then start building. Because ultimately, for humans, this is an end on this plane. So I want you to see it. We're going to sit and talk here in the cemetery. And then we're going to look back at our future. What did you tell me you wanted to do? Oh, I want to be. Okay, don't you think you should get started on that seriously? So you start working on that now, man. Tell me your dreams so they can be mine too. That's a conversation men need to have with our board. Son, tell me your dream.
Now, in closing, for those who would like to know more about Young Man's University and enrolling their young men, or can you enroll young women? Give us more information about that, and also the event that's coming up, the date and the time.
Okay, the event that's coming up is the 26th of March. It's at 4:30. It's at Grace Baptist Church at 1203 Manassas, Pastor King. And it's a prevention session. Death is calling our name. Death is knocking. So it's a prevention for parents. I mean, my focus is really parents. And it's to increase the sense of urgency. Of me, we watch over our children more, become more vigilant in our watch over our children. So that's our event coming up on the 26th. You can call my office, 901-825-3326 for more information, need some detail. Okay. And again, Young Man University is about academics, entrepreneurship, and God.
The God factor.
What we do. It's God factor is factored into everything we do. You know, because I found nothing that drove me closer to God than having the vision that He gave me, knowing that without His full participation, it ain't coming true.
Constant communication.
All day. I'm talking to God.
Well, brother, thank you once again for coming on the self-improvement basis for Community Development Talk Show. I love you, my brother. And anytime you need me,
yes,
Self-Improvement Productions, just let us know. Brothers and sisters, thank you once again for tuning in to the Self-Improvement Basis for Community Development Talk Show every Monday, 5:30 on Channel 17 Comcast Cable Memphis, brothers and sisters. Until next week, peace be unto you.
Peace.